This is a presentation of the Sports Source Digital Network, presented by Hearthside Bank.
This is the show you've been waiting for. If you're looking for large numbers, if you're looking for quantity of teams that you can look at from one point to another across multiple sports books, welcome to the show you've been waiting for. It's action. It's the Sports Source Digital Network. What would you do if you took two local guys here in East Tennessee and we talked local numbers? Chuck Cavalaris, Tyler Ivens. We got a lot of numbers. We got a lot of teams. We got a lot of names. We got to get right into it. I don't know how you feel about futures.
Right.
But I've said it once before on the show, and I'll say it again here now. There is no better value in money than futures at a sports book. Because you get into the game, you get into the week of the game on Mondays after they set the number, immediately the manipulation begins. Who's pulling what number early, underdogs, late, favorites? Chuck, I'm not here to pat myself on the back. Some of the best money I've made in my short time doing this as a hobby is finding something 4 or 5 months in advance and going, I'm willing to hold on to this ticket. This is some juice. There's a lot of good eating here when it comes to future numbers.
But the key is holding on to the ticket.
Yes, it's all about discipline. Discipline and being like, am I really, we like to call these investments. All right, so this is starting to do an investment show for the next couple of minutes. I want to talk about the University of Tennessee. Let's get into some of these SEC odds, and we'll tell you a little bit of a story of where they were and where they are now as we're closing in. We'll start over at ESPN Bet. For those of you, it's one of the newer sports books that have been legalized here in the state of Tennessee, perhaps maybe legalized in your state as well. Tennessee, at one point in time, had the fourth best odds to win the Southeastern Conference this year. Nico enters the transfer portal. Nico is gone. Joey Aguilar has now replaced Nico atop the depth chart here in Knoxville. Tennessee went from plus 700 down to 18-1 odds. Should it have been that large of a free fall? Are we talking about like anchor into the bottom of the river? Because that's a little steep to me. There's a lot of good talent in the SEC, but from 7 to 18 odds?
18 is really too. I mean, I could see going to like 1,400 or something.
Right,
I would
double
have
it up.
dropped it some.
Yeah.
And then maybe see how things go. So, I mean, that's making you tempted right there to really consider putting a little something on that.
So if I've got a little cheat sheet here. It's got our names on it. I want to keep a little, and if you guys think we just do this show just to entertain you, Chuck's going to educate me on a couple of things where as soon as we hit close and these lights get cut off, I'm going to my sports book to hunt down even some more of these better numbers. Chuck says sprinkle even a little bit on the plus 1,400 on Tennessee. Now, you have to decide what a little bit is.
But it's plus 1,800. I'm saying it should be. It's plus, that's how a lot of times I look at something I'd take. If there's that much difference in what I think it should be and what it is, then yeah, I mean, I'm not going to bet the farm on that. But I'm going to take a little bit of that plus 1,800. To me, that's too high. I don't expect it to happen. Do I think it's impossible? No.
Do me a favor. I want you to look across multiple of your sports books. I like to call this window shopping. Don't just take one book, one number. Do you want to know the reason why? Perfect examples happening right now in action. At ESPN Bet, you can get Tennessee's SEC odds at plus 1,800. But if you just clicked over to one more app that you probably have saved in your specific folder, right there on FanDuel,
wow,
23-1.
Yeah, that's the one.
Why would you want to make $500 additional dollars to $5 depending on what your value is?
And that obviously shows what FanDuel thinks about what's going to happen.
Yeah.
They don't expect Tennessee to come anywhere close to the SEC championship game, much less win it. So, yeah, if you liked it at 1,800, do you like it at plus 23?
Abs. Always be shopping.
Right.
Always be shopping for the best number possible. You won't just see this in future numbers. If you're new to this hobby, look around even game day, day of game. Maybe you're going to your favorite ballpark, shop around the different sports books, take advantage of their sign-up bonuses, and see if you can get, even if it's a nickel, a dime off a better number per which one of these. I want to stay with these SEC odds. Clearly, they love Texas over at ESPN Bet. FanDuel, They believe it's a two-horse race with Georgia and Texas. Either one of these, ESPN Bet or FanDuel, Chuck Cavalaris, is there value this year for any team in the Southeastern Conference? Perhaps there's a team or a number that stands out. For me, there's definitely one. And I think that this is the best year he's going to have to be able to win the SEC and potentially disrupt the college football playoff. I think he did a fantastic job of not only hitting a live microphone and saying, we're NIL poor, please give us more money. And they got more money. They also went to the transfer portal and absolutely just, I'm talking ransacked everybody's cabinet. Call me nuts. The LSU Tigers.
There's still a little bit of the Brian Kelly factor there to me.
Oh, that guy can't get out of his own way, but I like the personnel they've brought in.
But at the number, when you're looking at ESPN Bet, when you're looking at plus 800, you lay down 100, you win 800 back.
Yeah.
That's what it's like a horse race.
There you go.
Would you like that horse to get to the finish line at those odds? But I like looking at maybe who's really disappointed about their season last year. Mm-hmm. Alabama certainly was. Georgia certainly was.
Yeah.
Those are two that I think, if you look at those and go with one or both of those, I like your chances of getting somebody. Say Texas gets there as well. Mm-hmm. But I like going with somebody that's going to bring you back a little bit of money, too. It's like betting a favorite.
Yeah, and I'm looking at LSU inside this number real quick. There's only a 50 cents difference between multiple sports books. So these two feel like that they've got LSU pegged on how they'll perform this year. But to Chuck's point, if you look at the Alabamas of the world, 4 to 480. Again, shopping. Grab your products. I'm saving this much money compared to this much product. At the end of the day, not only could you be collecting a little bit more extra cash, but you can be saving, especially when it comes about. Think of it like fantasy football. Why would you draft somebody in the second round with a top 20 pick when you can get the same value for that player in the 8th round, knowing he's going to be in a running back shared room with that said franchise?
Hey, here's another thing,
value.
Too. Be very, very careful about what you're picking in terms of, is it SEC championship game win, or is it to reach the SEC?
There you go.
That, to me, that's always been huge. You may not find to reach the SEC championship game as much, maybe until later in the season or something. But if you find that's a huge difference. You could win your money by the end of, November, before you even get to the championship game.
Now this is where the big enchilada comes in, because there's only 12 spots that are up for grab. Whether you're in a Power 4 conference like you are the SEC and the Big Ten, all this talking about auto bids and who gets in, it's all about who the prettiest girl is it not? So when you talk about the college football playoff, the eye test, it's all about scheduling down and making sure you put your best foot forward. So you look at numbers like Texas. Right now you have to lay $3.50 over at DraftKings just to get back $1. It's a high premium. Same with Georgia, same with Alabama, high premiums. So let me ask you right now, Chuck, is there something that's worth the picking, an apple and orange off this tree? And number two, what do you think about Tennessee's odds, just plus 300 to make a return trip to the playoff?
Well, I wish they were higher, I'll be honest with you. I think the odds are very much against them with their schedule.
We're talking Tennessee here?
Right.
Okay.
To go back to the college football playoff. I would be looking more at betting. I would bet more on some of the favorites before I would go hunting for somebody to me, kind of beat the odds and go back.
Right. I think they've got this nailed down to a T. I think that the top 4 teams, if in fact the SEC does get 4 of the 12 in, maybe it's just 3 like it was last year, I think it's that order. I think it's Texas. I think it's Georgia. I think that's Alabama.
I agree.
And you guys know how much I love LSU just based on the previous 4-minute conversation we just had about SEC odds. So I'll quickly say this. What do you believe Tennessee record needs to be minimum for them to get back to the playoffs? Just a side note real quick.
John Pennington had that. We had that on the Sports Source, and we said 10-2.
10-2.
And you're not even guaranteed a spot at 10-2.
Right.
You think you're getting in there. There's been some sites, and I've seen some articles that say at the minimum it has to be 9-3. Well, I can see the minimum 9, but to be able to have a chance to get in,
right.
I think you got to have 10 wins.
10-2. So you have to ask yourself right now, because I know a lot of you guys think with this and not so much this. And it's a big obstacle you have to overcome when you do this. When it comes to the head and the heart, ask yourself, can Tennessee at minimum go 10-2 this year with that schedule, with how quickly Joey Aguilar had to get rushed into this system, how things are coming together with large question marks on this offense? Occam's razor. Sometimes the obvious answer is the easy answer. Right now, and your Alabama point no less than 4 minutes ago, and they're on a collision course for a revenge tour falling short.
Right.
I think we see who the best teams are right now, and I think even Ole Miss and A&M should be ahead of Tennessee.
I wouldn't rule Florida out. The way they finished the season last year, and plus 400, that's 100 better than Tennessee. And I know we got a lot of Tennessee fans watching this. If I put money on Tennessee, I'm hoping I'm not expecting. I'm not thinking. I think I'm going to beat the system on this one.
That's a good point. And if anybody reminds us about injuries, Chuck Cavalaris, do you anticipate that DJ Lagway might get through this entire season without getting broken?
Well,
that's why Florida's the way where they are.
Exactly. And the way he came on those last 4 games.
Exactly.
And, how they beat Ole Miss. So you got to look at the schedule comes into it. Ole Miss, we'll look at them. But I think there's going to be just like these odds say. There's people that are going to be at the head of the table before you would necessarily expect Ole Miss to get there.
So what you just learned. DraftKings, other sports books, there's a reason why the SEC is in the order that they're in right now. Not a lot of surprises when it comes to this year's candidates likely to make the 12-team college football playoff.
Advent Electric has been providing high-quality electrical contractor solutions for 46 years. From 24/7 emergency electrical services to providing skilled residential and commercial electrical contractors and everything in between. Our expert certified electricians are equipped to help you no matter the size or complexity. Advent Electric, 865-588-0631.
Can't say enough about the friends over at Advent Electric, bringing you action each and every week right here on the Sports Source Digital Network. All right, this is where the entree comes to the table. This is the big one. We always talk about always be shopping, right? Well, you're going to be seeing on the graphic in the next couple of moments the 5 most popular sports books based on downloads. I would know this. I'm a degenerate. Don't like to actually go out there and advocate that, but I like playing the numbers. These are the 5 most popular sports books downloaded across the United States. There's no surprises here. They've got some of the best numbers when it comes to futures, too. I want to talk about who's actually going to be winning the national championship this year. Is there any surprise? Steve Sarkisian bringing Arch Manning to the table for the first time. He's going to be coming in for Quinn Ewers. He's going to be your top spot. We don't have Clemson or Penn States or any of the Ohio States mixed in here. This is just the SEC alone. But you can look inside the numbers that what they're offering plus value of how much value the SEC still has here, Chuck. That's why if you put the filter just SEC, these numbers, there's still plenty of money to be made, especially if they have a special season in the Southeastern Conference.
Yes, I mean, and that's one thing I've said before. You got to be very careful about what you're looking at. The national championship odds, we're looking at the SEC.
Correct.
Okay, chances are, was the SEC even going to win the national championship?
Back-to-back years, the Big Ten.
Okay. So, but when you look at Texas, exactly as you nailed it, but what I like here is being able to choose where the money is better. Is it better with MGM on Alabama? Slightly.
Value.
Is it better with DraftKings on Tennessee? Definitely. So that's what's important, and John Pennington put together a great graphic here for people to look at. And that's another big, big key. Why are you going to take somebody at $3,000 when you can get them at $4,000?
Always be shopping. I know I sound like I'm a parrot right now, but I can't tell you how many times Chuck, myself, will get questions of, well, why did you choose to make it this your option than that? Look at these. The numbers that keep coming on your screen, the difference between one click and a second click, you're talking about a difference in over $1,000. From ESPN Bet to DraftKings, now I know what you're saying, Tennessee to win a national championship this year. But that's why it's so open right now. You have a $2,000 difference between 2 books. That's why you always need to continue to be shopping. I'm glad that this is on the screen and we're talking about this. Here's the reason why. Notice I just mentioned the Big Ten's won the last 2 national championships, Michigan and Ohio State. There are a lot of people who believe now that NIL has been, to an extent, legalized, that they have the biggest boosters. That means they have the fattest paychecks, which means they have the largest wallets, which means they can get the best talent. Am I off when I say this? There's no better year to bet on the SEC when it comes to a futures champion than this year because of the recent success of the Big Ten. I don't know if we would see Texas in the 500, 600 range, Georgia in the 700, 650s. Hell, Alabama at 4 digits, over $10, $11. If it wasn't for the recent success of Ohio State, Michigan, what they believe Penn State could do this year, maybe Clemson. When was the last time you saw powerhouse blue chip programs over $10 in return when it comes to value? This is a good year.
Oh, yeah, that's right. And here's another thing you got to wonder, too. If you can get this, do you have to take this before the season?
Yes.
So then you're not going to get better numbers. You're not going to have a chance to do it after the season kicks off. So if you're looking at it now, if I'm looking at it, I'm saying Alabama, maybe. Georgia for sure. But look at the big difference at MGM.
You see this.
In some of these,
Yeah.
it's almost 2 for 1 on some of that.
Yeah.
So, I mean, just be careful about where you go and for sure who you pick.
I'll say this. Is there a value on this national championship list? Because you've warmed me up to Alabama.
Yes.
I believe there's a chance they're going to start the wrong quarterback. Rumor has it right now Ty Simpson's the leader in the clubhouse. I personally believe perhaps maybe the incumbent that came with one Kalen DeBoer from Seattle. I'll let you do your own digging on what the quarterback situation looks like down in Tuscaloosa. I think he might be better off as the best option. But to me, if Alabama can get their quarterback situation right, I think there's a chance Alabama right now is a runaway freight train. So I'm going to scoot on over. As soon as we cut these cameras off, I'll even post it if I have to. I'm going to scoot over onto the MGMs of the world. I can get a future national championship ticket, lay 1 to win 15 on Alabama.
That's just ridiculously good.
Yeah.
And it's very hard to turn. That same bet on Georgia, instead of 15 to 1, it's like 6.5 to 1.
Yeah.
So, I mean, to me, that's what we're talking about here, and that's what these numbers mean. If the SEC could win a national championship.
So what have you learned today? Always be shopping, look for value. There are plenty of sports books out there that want your money. They want your action, but is the juice worth the squeeze? And because of the last 2 years and the SEC not performing well when it comes to the national championship, could this be a prime year for picking when it comes to top value on SEC programs? One of these teams, if they jump the Big Ten, the SEC odds are going to go through the roof again next year. Make sure you're hitching your wagon to the horse that you believe can actually finish this race.
Exactly.
Texas is huge this year. Georgia and Alabama. All it takes is one of those three to mess up these odds for the 26th year. Chuck Cavalaris, Tyler Ivens. Like, comment, ring the bell. Another week of action right here on the Sports Source Digital Network. I wants to make some money.